Hey everyone, Eva here. Hope you are having a wonderful, fantastic day. I wanted to hop onto Facebook Live really quickly before I go and run and do carpool because I figured might as well do a sleep tip Tuesday video all about how to balance your little one's sleep schedules and sleep needs with the upcoming holidays. I've noticed that there have been a number of questions both in the main free Facebook group as well as in my sleep Bible program where people really want some guidance on how to balance the two. So because, of course, the back part of the story is very often that the family wants them there and they're dealing with, parents or in-laws that don't really understand sleep schedules and the need for naps and the need for an early bedtime. And so everyone would just really love some guidance. So I'm going to give you, I guess, my 2 cents on this particular topic. So the very first question that I want to answer is the first question itself, which is how to balance your little one's sleep schedule during the holidays. So, many of you have Passover coming up, many of you are celebrating Easter, and both holidays involve very often family time, festive meals that often go late or meals that often last all day. And so how do you balance the need to the both of these needs? So I'll tell you the formula that I believe that every family should go through when trying to figure out what to do. Because the answer to this question is not going to be the same for each family. There's no right or wrong answer here. I mean, at the end of the day, holidays are not happening every single day. It is once a year, twice a year, a few times a year. And so the sky isn't going to necessarily fall if your little one's schedule either gets thrown out the window or has to get adapted a little bit based on what's going on in terms of the holidays. However, how you specifically handle your little one's sleep and the holiday festivities, I think needs to come down to this two-part formula. So question number one that you need to be asking yourself is, what are the consequences in the sleep department that I am going to have to face if my little one misses his nap, gets a nap that's too late, a nap that's too early, goes down for bedtime too late, goes down for bedtime too early, or no, sorry, not necessarily bedtime too early, but ultimately gets their schedule completely messed up? And the answer to that question is going to vary from baby to baby. Some babies are very easygoing and they're gifted, let's say, in the sleep department. They're really, really great sleepers as it is. And you already know that if they miss a nap here and there, or they go to bed a little bit too late, and it only happens once, then you'll be okay. They'll still sleep well at night. You'll get them back on track the next day and everything will be fine. And then many of you listening to this probably also have babies that are not the greatest sleepers, or maybe you've worked really hard to get your little one sleeping well and it hasn't been easy, and you're worried, sick, knowing that if your little one misses a nap and he becomes overtired and then he goes to bed too late and he can be up half the night because of it, then that can be the potential consequence that you're going to have to face. And so none of us have a crystal ball, but you want to do the best you can almost predicting what the night is likely going to look like. And I can tell you off the bat that with my two kids, with my older one, I was able to get away with putting her down for a nap a little bit too late, or for pushing off her bedtime a little bit, or pushing off her bedtime really late, and she'd still sleep just fine for me. With my younger one, I promise you, her sleep was so delicate that if she missed one nap, or she had one short nap, or she went to bed 30 minutes too late, it was a guaranteed 5 a.m. wake up for me for the day. And there was honestly, so then that's when you have to then go to the second part of the formula, which is, okay, you have an idea as to what kind of consequence you might be looking at if you let your little one's sleep schedule slide because of the holiday festivities. Okay, then part B of the formula is it worth it? Was it worth it? And for some people, you might say, it's fine. I don't mind starting my day at 5 o'clock in the morning if it means I get to enjoy my full Passover celebration or my full Easter celebration with my family. And that's great. And there are just as many of you probably going, oh my God, the thought of waking up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, makes me want to hurl. And that's also fine, right? So I think the answer to this question is so individualized. I mean, I can tell you on a personal note that with my younger one, the fact that her sleep was so sensitive, it honestly meant that in this specific situation, my husband and I would have either hired a babysitter or we would divide and conquer. In other words, one of us would go and one of us would stay home, or we would leave early or we would show up late, and we would do what we needed to do to show up to the event, but at the same time respect our little one's sleep needs. Because to be totally honest, the Queen of England herself could have invited me to Buckingham Palace for dinner. And if I wasn't able to arrange babysitting for my kids to go to sleep on time, I would have politely declined. Because in my world, for that specific formula, the answer to that question would be, is it worth it? For me, absolutely not. But for many of you listening, you might think, I don't mind being up half the night if it means I get to be with my family. And then if the other half of you are going, ugh, that sounds terrible, I would much rather just leave early and get a good night's sleep, that's also just fine. So I think that that's kind of the mindset that you need to be going through when figuring out how to balance the two. Now, the second part of this question usually involves well-meaning family members who are wondering, or who are maybe saying to you, well, when I raised you however many decades ago, or I had kids, I never had them on a schedule and I never missed anything for their nap times and they just adjusted and everything was just fine. So here's the thing. As I said, you have to remember that, chances are your family member is coming to the table with the best of intentions. The one thing that you have to remember, though, is that we are in my opinion, a very privileged generation of parents, and that we are empowered with so much knowledge and know-how around sleep, around healthy sleep habits, around schedules and wake windows and early bedtimes and getting your little one sleeping through the night, that our parents a few generations, last generation or a few generations ago did not have access to. So a lot of the time, when I feel like when people are getting some criticism from family members wondering why you have to leave early for your little one's nap time, very often it's just because they just don't understand. Very often they don't know that if your little one misses his nap, it means he's going to be cranky by bedtime. It might mean that he's not going to want to go to sleep properly. It might mean that he wakes up 4 times in the middle of the night. It may mean that he wakes up at 5 a.m. for the day. Common sense often dictates that if a child doesn't sleep well during the day, then they'll just sleep better at night. And we know, due to our much more detailed knowledge of sleep science, that that's actually not the case. And so I find more often than not, if you're wondering how the heck am I going to explain to my family that I have to leave early or I have to come late, very often I find if you just spell that out, that missing a nap or going to bed too early or messing with the schedule can mean a night from hell, very often I find family members will go, oh, wow, is that really the case? Gosh, maybe that'll explain why little Johnny didn't sleep really well, because he never napped as a baby, right? So I think that that would be the very first angle that I would take, is just educate them, because very often it's just coming from a place where people just don't know, right? Unfortunately, our parents it was literally like the blind leading the blind, trying to get their little babies sleeping. Nobody had any clue what to do the way that we know what to do now. Thankfully, we're not a generation that needs to be walking around like a zombie because your 1-year-old is still not sleeping well. We're empowered with the knowledge and know-how as to what to do. So it's really, really fantastic. And on the off chance, if you have a family member that's still not necessarily understanding, that still isn't so sympathetic to you wanting to leave early or come late, at the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you, right? Because you're the one that has to deal with your cranky, overtired child. You're the one that's going to have to potentially wake up with the child at night. You're the one that's going to potentially be starting your day at 5 o'clock in the morning if your little one misses his schedule. So if you've decided that that's not a sacrifice that's worthwhile for you, then you know, stick to your guns here, unless that well-meaning family member is willing to babysit your little one overnight. And then of course you can tell them, sure, I'll stay for as long as I want if I don't have to deal with the sleep consequences at nighttime. So I hope this was helpful. As I said, just in terms of, to sum up, in terms of how to go through how to come to a decision as to what to do with sleep and the upcoming holidays, my biggest piece of advice is figure out, A, what are the potential consequences that you're looking at? How sensitive of a baby do you have when it comes to sleep? And then B, you need to decide if those consequences are worth it. So I hope this was helpful. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.